Okay, my friends, I have put out a piece that some of you have probably already played. I've covered up a bunch of it because I don't want to violate the copyright laws, and I'm not sure how much I can put in the video without getting permission, but I know I am allowed to display at least the two measures that are before you. I would encourage everybody who is playing violin to pick up a copy of Suzuki Book 1 if you don't already have it, because it has so many great pieces in it that are essential really for everybody to learn. So the piece that I have here, you can't see the title, but this is Bach Minuet number 1. And my students play this piece, and it's one of the first pieces where I start talking to them about key signatures. Now, in this key signature, I've left that part showing here. And you can see some of my teacher markings. If you didn't do the bow distribution video from Theory Book 1, I highly suggest you go back and do it, because that marking will make more sense to you and you'll know what to do with your bow. But that's not what we're talking about. For now, we're talking about just the key signature. So let's take a look at it. Here's the clef, here's the time signature. You can tell I've been talking to people about that because it's circled. But the thing we are after right now is the key signature. Well, what is in it? 1 sharp. Well, that has to be an F sharp, doesn't it? There's only one, they always go in the same order. It's on the top line, which represents an F. Therefore, we have an F sharp in the key signature. That part's pretty easy. All right, what's the next step? We find the furthest one to the right. Well, there's only one, so it's gotta be the F, right? So now we go up a half step to name the key, which, by the way, is the scale you would play to warm up for it. If you haven't done scales with your teacher, I suggest getting into that as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna get my little half step marking going here. It is placed so that one part of it is pointing at the F sharp, because that is the note, the furthest one to the right here. And then I go up a half step to name the key. What's up a half step? G. And then I compare to the last note. And what is the last note? It's on that second line. Elvis's guitar broke down Friday. Even great big dinosaurs fly. Every girl borrows dad's Ferrari. Every good boy does fine. What is it? It's a G. So we're in the key of G. We decided it based on this. We confirmed it with this. Let's figure out what that means for our playing. Okay, if you've played this piece, you know that you have to be able to play notes on D string, A string, and E string. So let's figure out what that means. We only have an F sharp, no C sharps, no G sharps, nothing else. So it's all natural notes except for the F. So that means we can play our D string, our A string, and our E string. We can play those open strings, no problem. That's great. What about first finger on D? We want finger on the tape because we want an E natural. What do we want for our second finger? We want a high 2 that's on the tape, very convenient because we are playing F sharps. We want a G because there's no G sharp in the key signature, so we can play our third finger on the tape. And by this piece, you do need fourth fingers, so let's identify those. That fourth finger will go on the tape if you have it. If not, that still makes D string, this finger pattern, very familiar finger pattern where 2 and 3 are touching. Let's do the A string. You want a regular B natural. Great, that's an on the tape note. But now for the C, you don't want a C sharp. If you put your fingers like this on with your second finger on the tape, that's going to be a C sharp, but that is not what Bach asked us for in that piece, in the key signature. Now, those of you who have played it know a secret about this piece, but I'm not going to give the secret away for right now. We're just going to focus on the key signature. So we put our first finger on the tape, but what do we do with our second finger? We need a C natural, not on the tape, but low 2. So now I know D string is this finger pattern. The A string with my 2 in that low position is going to be like this. The 3 is on the tape because it's D natural, and the 4 is on the tape. And yes, you need fourth finger for this one. So now I need one finger pattern for the D string and a different finger pattern for the A string. The only finger that's changing is that second finger, but you have to know that. And now you know it from looking at the key signature and not just because your teacher told you. Okay, on the E string, what do we need? We need an F sharp. That's great because that's on the tape. That makes that first finger always on the tape for the whole song. Yay. What do we need for second finger? Do you want a G sharp? No. You want a G natural, so again, that has to be in that low 2 position. And then you want an A and a B, so those fingers get to be on the tape. So that means if you're playing this piece, considering all the strings you have to do, on the D string, it's that first finger pattern that you learned. And then on the A and the E string, these 2 fingers are now touching with the low 2 position. And you can figure all that out if you know how to read a key signature and you understand where your fingers fit on the fingerboard. For what it's worth, that piece also has a 3/4 time signature. What does that mean? 3 beats per measure, and the quarter note equals a beat. So you see why I put all of this content into this book. If you understand everything in this book and you talk it out with your teacher and you really get it, you can do so much work on your own, and then you can focus on all of the important musical things in your lesson and not just on figuring out where your fingers go on the fingerboard. So thank you for joining me for this. I might add some more to this book and to the video set for the theory book too, but for the time being, we're done with this. But please do make sure you bring it to your lessons, because that is going to be a very useful tool as you're figuring out new pieces. See you next time.